Now back to Mornings with Zerlina.
Welcome back to Mornings with Zerlina. Lord Doggett represents Texas's 37th District. Good morning, Congressman. Thank you so much for being with us.
Good morning. It's very good to be with you and important to do so at this time of truly rapidly accelerating danger for our country and the world.
Yes, we were just chatting with Congressman Jamie Raskin about the fact that we are in a crisis, and he said that we are in the middle of a coup. Do you agree with that?
I do. I heard the last of your discussion with Representative Raskin, a good friend, and he offered great insights. The latest version of this today, totally incredible. That the president says he wants to. The literal meaning of what he said is he wants to spend billions to send U.S. troops into a war zone to ethnically cleanse the Gaza Strip by forcibly removing 2 million Palestinians from their homeland. And he views it more or less as a real estate deal, the Riviera area of the Middle East. I don't know, after making Canada the 51st state, annexing Greenland and the Panama Canal Zone, whether he intends for Gaza to become a U.S. state or just to be annexed by Israel. I think most people listening to his comments may tend to just think, this guy's got a loose screw. He is wacky. He is totally out of it. But that would be a real mistake. Because I think first he shows that he's totally untrustworthy. He tells us one thing and does the other. He was going to keep us out of foreign wars, and now he's going to engage us in one. He is a master of distraction, just as he talked about Greenland at a time he was proposing to raise prices on our groceries. And at the time he's talking about Gaza, he is dismantling our national security, weakening our national security with incompetent leaders, forcing out experienced leaders from the CIA and the Justice Department, as Representative Raskin was telling you. Mm-hmm. And then we also see that he's basically acting like not just a president, but an emperor, issuing orders here, feeling no restraint, feeling he could do anything in the world without considering others or involving the Congress, and certainly not Democrats.
I mean, one of the things that I asked Congressman Raskin about, and I've been thinking about all day, is the fact that while the Supreme Court did give the president immunity, right, if he's doing something in his official capacity, Elon Musk is not the president. And yet he is behaving, in my opinion, as if he has immunity. What can be done in this moment to constrain the people who Trump has empowered to go in and dismantle the federal government?
Empowering is the key word, because everything Musk does is with the blessing and encouragement or indifference of Donald Trump. Some have suggested that Donald Trump can let Elon Musk do some of the things that will be most unfavored by the American people and try to get the blame off himself. There is litigation that's already been filed. The notion that Elon Musk gets control and access to the payment system at the Treasury Department that affects everything from Social Security checks to payment to government contractors, includes privacy information on every American citizen, is truly alarming. That he can go in and force out security officials to see classified, highly classified information at other agencies, that he can pronounce the Agency for International Development that has amazing patriots working for the United States all around the world, that he can just shut it down and declare it dead. These are powers that have to be challenged in court, and we hope the many judges that Donald Trump appointed will be true to the law and the Constitution, and not just feel that they have to approve whatever outrageous action Donald Trump and Musk may take.
What are the actions that Democrats can take? We've seen Democrats out protesting. We've seen them speaking up. We were talking to us so that you can speak directly to the American people and the voters on the left. But I feel like there might be an extra piece that I might be missing, because in this particular moment we need all hands on deck. So how are you thinking about the ways in which you can fight back? What's on your list of things?
I think first, our constituents need to understand that we share their outrage, that we're angry too, but we have to focus that anger in ways that help us bring more Americans, including some Americans who voted for Donald Trump and are not getting what they were promised, to our side. And our action here can be focused on using every opportunity in our committees on the floor to speak out and voice that anger and offer alternatives. We certainly need to support the litigation to restrain Elon Musk and Donald Trump because they seem to feel no restraint. The Constitution, our laws don't seem to restrain them from doing anything. The courts can do that. And we need to encourage people all over the country to express their feelings and not feel defeated, but feel hopeful about the future of our democracy if they get engaged.
You commented after the tragedy in Washington, D.C., about some of the dangerous moves Donald Trump made immediately, including getting rid of the head of the TSA and the head of the FAA and the Aviation Safety Committee in the days and weeks when he took power back. And I feel like when we're talking about the consequences of the dismantling of our federal government, this is one of the examples, right? When you dismantle pieces of the federal government in this way, there are consequences, potentially deadly consequences. So talk a bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I represent Austin, Texas. We've had, in a short period of time, 5 near catastrophes. 3 months ago, we were 350 feet away from an American Airlines plane having the same kind of collision that occurred over the Potomac. The FAA has not done enough to get us the safety margin we need. What has Donald Trump done? It really demonstrates really the same thing he's doing with Gaza today and distracting, because he failed to appoint any leadership at the FAA, no FAA administrator, no deputy administrator, no general counsel. In fact, he didn't even appoint a temporary administrator until after this tragedy happened with the mid-air collision. At the same time, he froze air traffic controller employment and encouraged air traffic controllers like other government employees to take a buyout and lead at a time we have a serious shortage. And so instead of being focused on his own many failures, he comes out and attacks diversity, equity, inclusion, which has nothing to do with this. But I think it worked for him because the press reports focused on his attacks on DEI and on President Biden rather than focusing on his many failures, which may well have been a contributing factor to this terrible tragedy and the loss of so many lives.
I agree. I think the DEI thing was a complete distraction, and it was on purpose. And again, it's like the press was like, what evidence do you have that DEI was the cause of this tragedy? And I'm like, that is not the right question. There's no evidence ever that would be, be to blame for a tragedy like this one. It's a ridiculous question, in my opinion. When we're thinking about the moment that we are in, obviously, with Congressman Raskin, I mentioned he called it a coup. You agree. We've also heard people describe it as a constitutional crisis. And I feel like this is one of the times where that might go above the, everyday Americans. That might go above their head, right? When they hear folks say we're in a constitutional crisis, I don't know that they understand fully, not every single person, how that hurts them. So what is your message to people out there who are seeing all this chaos, seeing all this happen on Capitol Hill, and not realizing just how dire the situation is and how it will affect them?
Well, I think the immediate effect that many will have is to their pocketbooks. A president who promised that he would lower prices is instead adding 25% taxes on what we get from Canada, Mexico, and promising a trade war with the rest of the world. And so we'll see it at the grocery store in buying a car that has any foreign parts, even though it's assembled here in the United States, with home prices from higher costs we're getting in building materials from our neighbors. But the more far-reaching consequences are to our freedoms. This president wants to act like a dictator from more than day one. He sees himself as an all-powerful person with no restraint. And eventually that will have a big impact on our daily lives. Today, his distraction about Gaza is going on as he's trying to shut down the U.S. Department of Education and the valuable services that it supervises, from student financial assistance to helping children with disabilities through the funding that it provides. He is weakening our national security, and I think we grow increasingly vulnerable by the day to our adversaries around the world when he has incompetent leadership and tries to force out people that have kept our country safe at the CIA, in law enforcement and justice, and the FBI, and put in someone like Tulsi Gabbard or Hegseth, who don't have the experience to competently run these agencies. So I think it begins to threaten our daily lives. And as there is public reaction to this, Trump will try to restrain and put down that reaction, and I think it very much infringe on our right to assembly and free speech.
Congressman Lloyd Doggett, representing Texas's 37th district, thank you so much for being with us on this Wednesday morning at this critical juncture in American history. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you all for all you do through your podcast to focus attention on these vital matters. Our people
Thank you.
can make a difference. Bye-bye.
Yes, everybody listening.